Well, hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 2030, of documenting my journey using a video log, using a vlog, they call it nowadays. Just paying attention to and sharing information, sharing some of the lessons that I've learned along the way as I transitioned originally from the brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business. I spent over a quarter century in corporate America while simultaneously running, owning, operating, buying, selling different businesses in different industries and growing and building and supersizing them. Some industries I supersized them in, other industries I just got out of. And some industries were super duper successful for me, others not as much. Primarily because they weren't right for me. We get involved in different businesses and different industries to test the waters and try them out. At least some of us do, entrepreneurial people do. But sometimes we start along a career path and we find out it's not the thing for us. And we hear stories all the time of people that started out as one thing and then they changed careers. I think when I was in college, they said that the average person my age back then, which was a long, long time ago, would change careers at least 12 times. And I thought, oh, that's crazy. I'm not going to do that. I was studying at that point to be an engineer. And I'm like, why would I do anything besides be an engineer? And then I got out of college, took a job that had very little to do with engineering. It was mostly management and leadership. And so I went down that path and quality and process path versus actual engineering projects. I think I did maybe 5 actual real live engineer projects in my first career, my first job. We had a whole engineering department of like 250 engineers. So we really didn't need all of us to be engineers in the organization, but we were. So today we're talking about, I share 2 pieces of content every day. Sometimes, some years it's more, sometimes it's less. But this year and last year, I narrowed it down. And I was doing an annual challenge and then the Supersize Your Business group. I like to do a post in that every day. I started when I was moving out of my home following my divorce. I needed something to share with that group, and I wanted to share it on a regular basis to hold myself accountable and consistent, which is why I started doing it every day. And I found a book of 600 plus idioms from my kids as I was packing up boxes, and I'm like, well, idioms are fun, they're interesting. I've always been interested in words and what things mean, and not only what they mean to me, but what they mean to other people, as well as how we can use them to build and grow our business. So I kind of made a game out of it, and I thought, oh, I'll do it for 60 or 90 days, and then I'll switch gears and do something else. Well, we're a couple thousand idioms in at this point, and I keep doing it every day. And every time I get sick of it, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore, something happens, and I say, oh, but I am still curious about it. There's still a lot more for me to learn. There's at least 20,000 idioms in the English language alone, and every language has their own idioms. And an idiom is just a group of words when used together that means something different than if the words are taken individually. To me, it's a reminder of synergy, and that when 2 minds come together, or one or more than one mind comes together, the sum of the parts are always greater than, the whole is always greater than the sum of the parts, right? 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. But when we put our minds and our brains and everything together, it has this exponential and amazing, miraculous almost effect. So I'm still doing idioms. Today's was Speak of the Devil, which is when you're talking about somebody and they appear, or that you're talking about them and they appear behind your back. If that's ever happened to anybody besides me, which was an early lesson in always speak kindly of people and never pass on anything unless it's yours to share, or unless you know for a fact that it's 100% true. And then, even as just because it's true doesn't mean it's yours to share. So those are life lessons that each of us learn, usually by having a bad experience one time and having to deal with the negative impacts and effects of that behavior or experience, and then learning from it how to behave in better ways in the future. And so I shared some of those in Speak of the Devil today for our idiom. And then our annual challenge this year is the Get Your Goals annual challenge. Thank you, Chad Hanna, for giving me that idea, because usually toward about this time of year, I'm like, okay, well, what is next year's challenge going to be? And I mentioned it in a post, and he commented and said, why don't you do it on goals? And so we've been doing the Get Your Goals challenge this year. We do one thing every day to move us toward what we want. And this month we're focusing on communication goals. So our topic for today was different styles of communication. And I just talked about a few. open versus closed communication, fixed versus flexible, and formal versus informal. And when we use those and why, because there's benefits to everything, right? There's pluses and minuses to everything. Most of the things in the world are neutral until we add some kind of meaning to them. So we talked about that. And then I did mention that tomorrow we're going to go into learning more about our own personality and our own style of communication using a tool or two, the either Myers-Briggs DISC, and there's a whole slew of similar personality tests that help us understand how we communicate, the type of person we are, and the type of other people that we interact with, and how we, being the type that we are, and I've been doing these Myers-Briggs tests. My dad brought Myers-Briggs home when it was first introduced to 3M, probably in the late 70s. I think I was still in high school. He brought it home. I think I was in high school when we first were exposed to it. I loved my dad working at 3M in corporate and personal development because he was always teaching us a lot of the cool things that they learned in a giant corporation like Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing back then. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And I'll find a free tool so people that have not been exposed to it can go ahead and take the test and find out their own personality type, because I think it's a valuable tool. I don't do it every year anymore, but for a while I would do it, every few years just to make sure I was still the same type that I thought I was. And things happen, right? Things in our life happen that cause us to change not who we are at the core, but who we are and how we show up in different environments. And we choose different environments to participate in. So that is it today for content. Tuesday here in my neck of the woods. Yesterday was a granddaughter day. It was an awesome, fun day. I got all three of my granddaughters, so we had a blast. And I spent time with my sisters. And we called my mom, but she was going to the acupuncturist, so she couldn't chat with us or FaceTime with us. But a good day all around. If I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow. Have an amazing day. I hope your week is going wonderfully and that the rest of the week is splendid as well. All right, have a great day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.